Hello everyone, this is Greyshot17, and today I'm here to cover a movie that is not in the early to mid 2000s. I know, shocking. This time we're going to go back nearly 70 years to an era where a small, insignificant creature would be turned into the world's most haunting nightmare, and then in turn, 70 years later, be laughed at by the general population. Them, or Them on the poster, is a 1954 creature feature made by Warner Brothers, a year after their critical and financial success, The Beast of 20,000 Fathoms. Now, after hearing that, you might think that Them was a top priority for Warner Brothers. Them was an afterthought. WB tried to sell the script to Paramount and rejected the offer. Not because Paramount offered too little, but they offered too much. Dumbfounded that the script was so valuable, they greenlit the project, but kept slashing its budget days before the shooting was to begin. Upon release, it was well received and became one of the highest earners for WB that year. WB executives being wrong about a movie idea. Where have I heard that one before? Now, after close to 70 years, does this Anapocalypse hold up, or is it a relic of a bygone era? That said, before we jump right in, I do want to say, if you could be so kind, please like and subscribe. It definitely helps with the algorithm, helps my channel, and right now, if you want to see me put out more videos at a higher clip and also more discussion videos in different areas, please make sure that you subscribe, like, and help me out, because seriously, it truly does help out not only myself, but other content creators. Now, with all that said, let's get our bug busting gear and jump right into Them. Wait, why is there color? This is a 50s B movie, goddammit. I want my black and white. I hear this a lot, even though that movies from this time period could have color if they had the budget and also the reason for it. For example, you wouldn't put color into a black and white film that is noir in presentation and style. It just doesn't make sense. But you would do it if you had the budget to, well, fund all the different equipment that colored production would require. That said, since this movie had its budget cut, the only thing that's left is the title, and unfortunately this little girl.
What's the matter with her?
Looks like she's in shock.
I would be too if some cheap executive gave me a broken doll instead of a family. The state troopers are played by James Whitmore as Sergeant Ben Peterson and Chris Drake as Trooper Ed Blackburn. While searching for the girl's parents, they do find a destroyed trailer doing some classic 50s investigation work, and by classic I mean tampering with evidence. Upon their investigation, they find a trail of sugar leading away from the trailer, as well as footprints that don't match anything that they have ever seen before, as well as the small hints that the girl did in fact originate from the trailer. Speaking of the little girl, excuse me, this is a 50s B movie. Why am I being creeped out right now? No one notices the girl's reaction, leading the two main officers going to a nearby store to hopefully find some clues. Anyone else getting a sense of deja vu? Well, at least they have a potty. Although I think he's still breathing, guys. While the sergeant goes to get help, Trooper Blackburn stays behind to secure the scene. So we know from the little girl's reaction that this sound means impending doom and despair, but this is one of our main leads. I'm sure he'll be dead. Very, very dead. With a missing partner and multiple dead, the police are puzzled to figure out what could possibly be going on.
Everything seems to indicate a homicidal maniac.
Hold on, guys, you still got a few years before that becomes a problem. They do get a small revelation that the trailer belonged to an FBI agent, promoting Agent Robert Graham, played by Agent Arnez, to come to investigate. Now, you may have instantly recognized this character as Marshal Matt Dillon from Gunsmoke, where he played this character for over 20 years in one of the longest running shows of all time. But when I see this guy's face, all I think of is, well...
Kent Mansley, United States Government, Unexplained Phenomena Department.
Marv Loach, I'm the fourth.
What happened here?
It's almost like it was bitten off by some enormous beast.
Enormous beast. Yeah. What do you think? Escaped gorilla?
Maybe it's just me, but I can't get the feeling out of my head that they use this character as inspiration. While Agent Graham himself doesn't add anything to the investigation, his inclusion
woods.
So you don't have any evidence.
But sir, I've got an eyewitness.
An eyewitness with a concussion. If you told me you'd found, say, a giant footprint, I might send over an expert.
Those two experts are Dr. Harold Medford, played by Edmund Gwen, and Dr. Pat Medford's leg, played by Joanne Weldon.
Doctor?
If the doctor bothers you, Will, why don't you call me Pat?
No, it's fine. I'll call you Dr. Medford. It's more confusing that way. The doctors may know what's going on, but that doesn't mean they can't continue to play coy with the audience. Let's be clear, if you did say giant ants without any hard evidence, you probably would end up in a psych ward at this time. The group then go off and meet with the little girl, hoping that formic acid that was found to have killed Gramps jog her memory from her unfortunate trance. Great! Now what's their name? Crew proceeds to the desert, where Sergeant Peterson and Agent Graham get a little bit antsy once they hear this conversation.
Rather slim pickings for food, Dad. They turn carnivorous, what for a lack of habitual diet.
I can't imagine why. Okay, so after so long, let's finally showcase our horrific monster. Agent Graham goes to protect Dr. Medford as Dr. Medford tells them where to hit the ant.
Get the other antenna! He's helpless without them!
But it's not an option. What about the foot? Sergeant Peterson takes it down with a Tommy gun, ending its short reign of terror. Wait, so Dr. Medford walked into the desert without a weapon, knowing there are giant carnivorous ants out there? Really?
There's no time to lose. We must find the colony, the nest. You mean there's more of them?
The scene ends with Dr. Medford giving us a quote that is one of the best quotes in the movie by far, but it does close out Act 1, which substitutes all the slow build-up and amazing tension that was built up in the first act, now with tons and tons of exposition, which I think is everyone's true fear of a 50s B movie. At least it's mine. Before we get to that, we do have the team looking for the nest by air being flown by an army general.
Okay, but why though?
They are split up into pairs, making for some generally good conversations and some good humor to boot. Dr. Medford and Agent Graham do find the nest, but they also find what's left of Sergeant Peterson's partner. So how do you deal with giant ants? Well, that's simple. Bazookas. Wait, why is a police sergeant shooting a bazooka? 50s logic or budget, take your pick. Alright, to be serious, there is an actual plan here. They're hoping to use the white phosphorus to keep the ants underground, thereby getting close enough while the ants are all contained to gas them out. There's just unfortunately one catch.
How can you be sure you get all of them? We go into the nest and find out.
While a large exposition dump, it does highlight Dr. Medford's character and showing how sophisticated he is, how smart he is compared to everyone else in the room, how humorous he can be, his own physical limitations, and the reason what they can physically do at the moment, going over every possible strategy, and most importantly, covering every single plot hole that may have popped up in this movie.
The reason none of them have been seen during the day, even by the police spotting planes, is because they don't like the heat of the desert. They forage only between sunset and dawn when it's cool, so half the colony wouldn't even be inside the nest tonight.
I love it when a movie has its own set of rules that it follows through, covers everything up, and has defined characters to allow them to be explained. Such a refreshing breath of fresh air that this movie doesn't even come close to doing, so we're just going to ignore him. The agent, the sergeant, and Dr. Medford go into the nest. Now, what are the chances that a bug could possibly survive being fumigated? You know, this exact same problem happened at my new house. Except I didn't use a flamethrower. I used a shoe. But, you know, the same results. The team continue into the nest, go into different chambers, and eventually find the queen's lair. However, I do want to give a shout out to the design team on this because it's so well done. The sense of dread and foreboding that you get in every single shot in this section is really well done. It's as if they're going into hell, which does bring up a good point of how this would have looked if this was in color. I'm not saying it would have looked bad, but I feel like it would have definitely dropped the sense of dread and tension a little bit if all of this is in color and a little bit easier to see. Now, as they come to the end of their journey in the Queen's Nest, that is not the conclusion of the movie, as they unfortunately discover that Queen's children, the princesses, have escaped to another theoretical castle somewhere else in the world. But what's the big deal? It's just a couple ants.
Are you telling us there are going to be other nests?
A single queen is capable of laying thousands of eggs.
So they're fucked. Well, not quite. The government works with the team to help track down the remaining ants. However, we then get the worst scene in this movie, a giant exposition dump. So I know this is a trap that a lot of 50s movies get into, but comparatively so to others, this movie, the first 45 minutes, had large sequences of time with no dialogue, and even when exposition did come up, it kind of served the character really well. Unfortunately, in this point, we're talking about a lot of information that the audience has already gotten because of great characters, great cinematography, and great set design that helps really bring to life these ants and explain what they can do, how they can do it, and the power and destruction that could be caused by them just being out there. This entire presentation adds nothing new to the movie, and honest to God, could be removed. The only thing I learned is what pain looks like. Moving past that scene, I want to highlight the key factor that why them is still a prevalent factor even though this movie came out 70 years ago. And that's because it asks a different question to the general audience. And that question is, where are the ants? The other two questions it asked was, how do we deal with the ants? And what was the threat? Now, most movies just deal with those first two. They don't ask 3, and eventually this movie will ask 4 and 5. They just keep same 2 problems. What is the threat? How do we deal with the threat? But this movie continues to challenge the audience. It puts the characters in different scenarios that are completely different to how they first were. Because we already know what the ants are. We know their environment and what they do, but now we don't know where they are. And that sense of mystery is now foreboding in the audience's mind. And that's why people are interested in this movie up to the hour mark and past, because it keeps that mystery, keeps the tension going. And most creature features fail. Tremors succeeds because it keeps a core, great set of characters in different intriguing environments and situations and problems caused by giant worms. It's not just because of giant worms. Eight-Legged Freaks fails because it can't keep the escalation going. It doesn't have additional questions to ask, and the core characters are serviceable, but they're not given anything else to do that's interesting or unique. So they start falling flat once it goes to a pretty much a defense movie. That is why Them succeeds. It's 70 years old, and people see this and just see giant ants. Sure, it's a campy B movie, but it excels because it knew when to ask questions. Such as, why is the government posting information about aliens, but they can't even see Spock right in front of them? Shortly after we see Spock, I swear to God I'm not making this up, a person gets checked into a mental ward because they swear they saw a UFO. Sir, did it look like this?
They were shaped like, well, like ants.
I mean, I guess that makes more sense in the context of the movie. Well, at least they know he's telling the truth and not insane, so they can let him go and he can see his family and friends again.
He's to have absolutely no visitors, and if any information is given out about him, Washington will hold you responsible. We'll send you a wire and tell you when he's well.
All I'm gonna say is when people say they want to go back to X time period, they may want to remember everything that comes with it. Hold on, I'm sorry. I'm getting a beep of some type. Give me 1 sec. Let me change a wire. Here, let me just put this incoming feed in, and I should be. Oh, sorry, wrong SOS. Let me try. Through some more exposition, we learned the Navy took out a supply ship that the ants took over once the Queen laid eggs there. I mean, who would want to see the Navy versus giant ants on the open ocean rather than, a boardroom scene? Meanwhile, we do get a lead that literal tons of sugar was stolen in the middle of the night in LA from a train car, which leads to this interesting dialogue.
The least you could do after spoiling my day off is tell me how come a government cop is so interested in this deal.
He's got a sweet tooth.
A body was also found nearby, but I don't see how it connects.
Because any machine that pulled him in hard enough to tear his arm off at the shoulder was also chopped up his face.
We either have no body or Gramps. We don't really have parts with these ants. Agent Graham then interviews the dead husband's wife, also missing her kids, and, well... Yeah, maybe you should have called Sergeant Peterson in here. I mean, obviously he's better at talking people. What? Yeah, Peterson throughout this entire movie has been the emotional core for every victim that has popped up in this movie.
No, but I'm with Mrs. Lodge.
No pass, no stay. This is a restricted area. Let's go.
All right, hold it, Sergeant. This is the
They
mother
got
of...
no pass, sir, and my orders
Yeah,
are...
I know. Go talk to the general.
Huh?
Talk to the general.
Where Mansley does whatever he can to cause more hell for people. They do track down a drunk who gives them a secret code to decipher.
Make me a sergeant! Give me the booze! Make me a sergeant! Give me the booze!
That means river in bum. With that, they go into the LA River and find where the husband and also the kids were attacked, and deduce...
I get no smell of formic acid, do you?
No, but just the same, it could all fall right into place.
Ants using an underground series of tunnels. Man, who would have saw that coming? It might just be another nest, but the military's taking no chances this time. The team managed to stop the military from causing civilian casualties, and in turn the military storms the tunnels, where they find something horrifying.
Come aboard.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's me. Sergeant Peterson finds the boys. One is really worried.
And the other one don't give a fuck.
With luck, Peterson cooks the ants and saves the boys, but at the cost of his own life. Why couldn't you care, kid? Why couldn't you care? That's right, them killed its main character. I gotta give credit, again, not something I would have expected, and even now watching this movie and picking up more of Sergeant Peterson's interaction with more family members, it feels even more heartbreaking that he did end up being the one who died in the end, and Mansley's the one who lived. A battle between the ants and the military ensues, causing a cave-in to occur. Come on, you almost got him. Kill that son of a bitch. Kill Mansley. I mean, don't kill our main lead. Don't do it. He's so likable. Mansley lives and the military contains the queens. Now we get to the part where the military then decide to capture the ants and try to use them for some military purpose.
Okay, burn them up.
No, you can't do that. Giant ants kill the undead. Do you know how many undead apocalypses you're going to be dealing with in the next few decades? By the way, those flamethrowers are real. They actually got military personnel to use the flamethrowers for 3D scenes. You heard me right. Before the budget was slashed, a lot of scenes in this movie were shot with the intention of 3D in the 50s. The more you know. We end the film with a quote from Dr. Medford, but one that has stood the test of time.
When man entered the atomic age, he opened a door into a new world. What we'll eventually find in that new world, nobody can predict.
An age that brought us a monster, born of atomic fire, worn by cute girls. Truly an age unlike any other. So that was them, and honestly, it's a bit of a quagmire. I do recommend it, absolutely. Please, if you are interested in creature features, I do recommend it. It has good characters, great tension, an escalating plot that doesn't feel forced. It has a lot of exposition, characters that have no business being where they are as the movie escalates, and a monster that is brought to life in a way that some might find cheesy. It's fine to think this movie helped spawn a generation of what we now call B-movies or bad movies based on how ridiculous the monsters were and the wacky the plots got. What I can say is that no matter how silly a film's premise may be, if done well with the right people, it can have the impact to shape an entire generation. What that generation does with it, no one can predict. Thanks again guys for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you have an idea for a movie to cover in the future, leave it down below. I take a couple comments right now because my channel is so small, so any ideas I'll gladly take. And again, the least I can do is let you know what I'm doing in the future, and it's quite simple. What I'm going to be doing in the future is going back and covering a smaller B movie, and that one is... oh my god. Alright, so I'm going to go deal with Gabriel, and then I'm going to deal with another small B movie. But until then, it's been Greyshot, and I'll see all of you guys